Zero's tricorder has already detected a gas sample. Zero wanders into a maze, and Rock Talk gets kisses from purple bunnies. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
Well, what do you know, everybody? My name's Ryan T. Husk. Bonnie Gordon has joined us again. Looks like we are very fortunate, and we're going to go ahead and announce, if you didn't hear this on the main viewer a couple days ago on our live show, Bonnie will be joining us as much as possible for this first season. Now, when she said this, she's been kind of coy and elusive. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago when we were asking about how many episodes. We're like,
because honestly, I didn't know
9 episodes
the answer.
Or is it 10 episodes? And she's like, and it turns out there's 20 episodes
20?
now.
Hey, look, I got to keep my secrets. But also, I was kind of like honestly, I was like, are they going to split it up and like season 2 is going to be the last 10? I wasn't sure. I was, it's not like I'm, no offense, I'm not that important. They don't tell me everything. So I was just kind of like, I honestly don't know. So I'm glad that 20 episodes are happening. And now again, yay, renewed for season 2, if you didn't see the announcement. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, so everybody at home, basically, the last couple of days, Star Trek and Paramount have announced that they're going to be taking a mid-season break after 5 episodes. That's after next week. And then they will bring the second half of the first half of season 1, the next 5 episodes in January. And then they're going to cut that in half, and then they're going to have 10 more episodes at the end of next year as kind of like the second half of season 1. So season 1 is kind of split into 3 parts over the course of a year, and they've been renewed for a second season on top of that. Cirroc is like, wow, that's a lot.
I know. I'm like, how many shows are we? So
yeah, so much track, so little time.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. So this first season is 20 episodes.
Yeah, it's going to be five episodes now, 5 more episodes January to February, and then 10 more episodes at the end of the year, next year.
Okay. And they're establishing 20 episodes per season on this show.
That we don't know if it's established or if it's just this first season. I mean, that would be great because we've been spoiled in the past with 26 episode seasons, so that'd be pretty awesome if there were.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people really realize how long animation takes and how much work it is. And not only that, they did this entire show through the pandemic. So a lot of things got pushed back. So, I feel like they're spacing a lot of it out so they can catch up. And, you see the animation in the very first 5 episodes, or 4 episodes now, how like stunningly beautiful it is. And just, it really like takes your breath away. And I think they want to keep that quality throughout the whole series. So, they can't really cut corners when it comes to the animation now that they've established this high level of quality.
Yeah.
I mean, just press pause and every frame is like a piece of art. It's frustrating because I don't know what to frame,
Like this.
I know, right?
It's gorgeous.
I mean, just everything. Well, just the landscaping, the space, the nebulas that they show, the ship flying through space. Like I want all of that. But
let's talk about that. This episode's called Dreamcatcher, by the way. It's episode 4 of season 1. The season 1 is like this epic journey now. It's going to be crazy. And when they land on that planet, the M-class planet in the Hirogen system, which, by the way, everybody at home that watched Voyager was like, the Hirogen system? Janeway should be telling them to go in the opposite direction, not telling them to check them out because they are bad people. But,
red flag. Yeah.
But yeah, like what you were saying, Bonnie, that planet, when they landed on it, was beautiful. And it's just, and the detail and the artistry is so intricate. I love it. I love it.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Bonnie. I was just going to add to that the music as well. It's the music is just amazing, and when you combine that visually with what we're seeing with these graphics, these illustration is just as good as it gets, as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, motion picture quality for a television show, which is kind of amazing. Because they have so much, motion pictures have so much budget and
well, there's rumor of a motion picture for Prodigy.
Well, it's that good. I mean, as far as what they're delivering visually, like I said, with the
and story wise,
and story wise, so it's that good. It's I think going to be a flagship for kind of a new direction for Nickelodeon. I think because it seems like it's a higher quality than some of the other product they've put out in the past. It seems like they're putting, more attention to detail for the smaller things. Not as a knock on Nickelodeon. They have their market base, but it just seems like a higher quality of, looks like a DreamWorks production or, Pixar and all of these companies that are making really good animation. So I feel that sense when I watch this.
I feel like it's raising the bar for animation everywhere. Like it's, I mean, a lot now. I mean, watching another cartoon now, I'm so spoiled after watching Prodigy. I'm just like, okay, it's okay, but like Prodigy, it's eye opening.
Yeah, it makes Dora the Explorer really kind of not.
You watch your mouth about Dora.
But yeah, it makes it look remedial in its approach. Very good show. Loved it from my daughter when she was growing up. She loved a little Dora and Diego. But no, they're raising the bar on this show. They're giving you really, like I said, motion picture quality. And I love the music. Love the way that planet looked. The exterior shots of the planet. And as you were talking, Bonnie, about the artistry and the illustration, I was thinking to myself about going to Disney, for example, and seeing those stills of Mickey Mouse and stuff that they frame. Those framed images of
like animation cells.
Animation cells. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
I'm a cartoon nerd.
Yes. So I would like to inquire about an animation cell of this show, and maybe, Bonnie, that's something that you can get for yourself as well. It's like one of these animation cells. Yeah.
I honestly, I've already, Ben, the director, is also an incredible artist. And that's why I think it's so visually stunning, because he kind of guides the direction of the art, I feel, as well. And, I think I replied, when they shared a couple more stills a few weeks ago, I think I tweeted back to him going like, hey, so when's my like coffee book of all of the, the art of Prodigy? Because honestly, this is something I would just flip through whenever I needed to meditate or something. It's just so beautiful. But now my brain is completely going to Dora the Explorer, and like, do you know how to say phaser in Spanish? And like, which planet is it? Like behind you. Like that's all I'm thinking now is like Dora the Explorer.
Oh yeah, Star Trek edition. That'd be hilarious.
Rock talk, no swiping.
They should have They should have a coffee book for the Prodigy ship's computer. Now, hear me out, because every one of these coffee table book, every one of these characters, you can have a coffee table book. You could have like Rock Talk picking flowers, and Rock Talk getting wet kisses from little purple bunnies, and Rock Talk destroying something. But then,
I would buy that book.
How do you do that with the computer? It's like this. It's each page is just like, here's a wall.
It would be. I think it would be the ship.
They flip the page, like, and here's the wall in engineering, and here's the wall in the hallway, the corridor, and here's the wall.
I feel like with the ship's computer, I feel like it encompasses the ship. So I would say pictures of the ship would count in a way. I would take that. I mean, if, doing cons and whatnot, I've had to think about what do I want to do if I do a con. And of course I would love to sell, posters of the ship to sign. Or like, sell a sign of it. And, I could put things like, look at that aft, or like it's a ship show,
Hey.
Little things like that.
Check out that aft.
Check out that aft. Huh? Red alert. Am I right?
Red alarm.
Red alert. Red alert.
Funny. Hey, you know what, Bonnie?
This is how I get fired.
No. You mentioned the director Ben, which we haven't touched upon so far in reviewing the show, and I don't think we ever really go into detail about directors for the animation. That's something I don't think Ryan and I have talked about much. But I'd like for you to kind of expand upon the director. Is it one director doing all of the episodes? Do you guys switch directors like we do in?
They do have different directors switching. Like if you notice, a lot of the team will every episode they'll tweet out and they'll mention like who the episode was written by, who directed them. But I believe Ben is the overall director when it comes to like direction and making sure it all is consistent. And I know Kevin and Dan Hageman is also very big on that. Again, I'm not on that side of the booth, I guess I should say. So I don't really get to see a lot of the inner workings that they do. I just know that they're all very much involved and they want to keep the integrity of it throughout every episode. I will say this though, Brooke Chambers is the voiceover director. And he is fantastic. He's really fun to work with. And he's the only voiceover director I've worked with on this project. So Brooke also does a lot of the little, smaller characters on the side as well. Like in the first episode, he was the Kazon trader and stuff like that. So you'll hear his voice throughout the show as well. And he's very good. So I will give a shout out to him because Brooke is great. So I've gotten to work with him. I mean, honestly, when we're recording, it's a Zoom full of people. So there's usually if not Ken and Devin, usually at least one of them are in. Ben is usually in. The Zoom, Brooke, there's audio engineers. So it's like there's like a team of people, listening to me do like, 5 lines of red alert. And it's amazing that they all just they're all so invested in it and they want everything, every little detail to be perfect.
What kind of notes do they give you on that? Do they? I mean, because how do you really give notes on a computer?
Can you do it a little bit more I don't know.
Do they ever say a little bit more urgency or a little bit more sarcasm, or they're just, can they even say that?
Not necessarily. For me, I probably get more direction when I'm doing scratch. Because I'll be doing scratch. Again, I started out doing scratch for Janeway and Gwen. So I'll get a little bit more direction on there. That way, whenever the animators have to take the animatics and work with the scratch vocals, they can animate more to an actual performance and not just, a line being read off of a page. So I'll get a little bit more direction when it comes to scratch vocals. As the computer, mostly it's making sure I'm pronouncing everything okay. If I want to make sure I'm not, I did notice, sometimes when I say, 10%, I'll say 10 because I'm from Louisiana. So everything's like 10%. So in the show, going back to the last episode, I was like, did I say 10% or 10%? So
I didn't notice any 10. That's for
good.
Sure.
Good. 10% complete. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this episode already, we have a 2-parter, by the way, which was, surprising to have a cliffhanger from episode 4 to 5. And by the way, Cirroc, you mentioned the music. I do want to, I've said this before, but I already think that the main title music is in the top 3 of all Star Trek main title songs already. I think I went on record, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were talking about shows and our favorite songs are the best ones. Deep Space Nine, no doubt about it. Picard, and this so far I have not skipped the intro song. So far I listen to that intro every time because it's heart pounding. It's good. Yeah. It is a great song to listen to. Didn't want to take us off course too much. Oh, go ahead, Bonnie.
I was going to say the composer, it's the first female composer in Star Trek. Nami, she's incredible. I believe her handle on Twitter is @Nami Composer. So everyone go follow her and tell her how wonderful she is because she's fabulous.
Yeah, fantastic. I did the same thing. I let the opening credits play. Nice. I was looking here at Nami Malumad. Maluma.
Yeah, I believe it's Nami. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And if I'm not, if you're watching or listening, I'm so sorry. But she's amazing. I've got to meet her recently, and I kind of fangirled because I'm such a music nerd as well. So I was so excited to hug her and be like, "You genius."
Yeah, and it seems like she took elements of all the Star Trek theme songs and kind of come up with her own original
Mm-hmm.
masterpiece, in my opinion. I do think that it is like it's so catchy, it's so good, it's so good, and hats off to them for giving this woman a chance to be the first female composer for Star Trek show, because she knocked this out of the park, and I'm sure she'll be doing a lot more theme songs going on into the future.
Yeah, I feel like this, just like Janeway says, we've only just begun. And I feel like her career is just about to blast off into space. I think she's gonna be a composer we all will recognize by name in the future for sure.
And it's a Carpenter's song, by the way. We've only just begun, if I remember correctly. So for everybody, by the way, everybody at home, we love to get sidetracked here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. Cirroc and I were talking about, before we recorded, Mr. Bill Withers. Let's give a shout out to Bill Withers and how freaking awesome he is, or was. He passed away in 2020 last year. Mm-hmm. It's got songs, obviously, everybody knows, Just the Two of Us, Lean on Me, but also Ain't No Sunshine, which is just freaking gorgeous, and Lovely Day. Those were the four that I know for sure that I knew. There are a few others. We looked up their titles. I wasn't sure if I knew. But anyway, big shout out to Bill Withers, because people need to appreciate good music.
And also, speaking of me mispronouncing names, I just wanted to really quick correct. It's Brooke Chalmers, not, I think I said Chambers. Okay. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's fantastic. The voiceover director. But nice. Again, I'm horrible at pronouncing names and just pronouncing anything in any language. So I've given up. I've given up on pronouncing things at this point in time.
Okay. Anyway, we keep getting sidetracked. This episode,
I know, we got to dive deep.
But there's so much good stuff. It's not just the writing and the story. I mean, the music is great. The artistry is great. Apparently the directing is great. But what we got here was kind of the first time since the very beginning of the show, we got to see each character kind of doing something in their own element and getting something into the psyche of the characters as to what they want, what they wish for. Mm-hmm. This actually reminded me a little bit of Farpoint Station in the first episode of The Next Generation, where Riker says, the guy says, "Oh, would you like some fruit?" And Riker's like, "Oh, no, thanks." He's like, "But if you had an apple, I would have loved that." And then he looks and there was an apple all of a sudden. So this was kind of giving them what he wanted. Now, our good friend, Mr. Don Crandall, I'm going to pull something up here from Don Crandall because he likes to send us in some pretty good stuff. He said that much of this storyline, and this happens a lot with Star Trek. Star Trek does pay homage to a show called Star Blazers fairly often. Apparently it was a cartoon called Star Blazers. Yeah. And he was saying like, there was, what was it? I'm just reading the whole thing, but like the way the ship was trying to get away and the planet was grabbing it with the tentacles, and also how it was showing them, he says, creating illusions, luring people with their deepest desires, showing them lost or dead family members, the vine-like tentacles holding down the ships. That's really cool. So I don't know anything about Star Blazers, but I think it's cool when they're like all these Star Trek fans out there are recognizing these homages, or maybe it's just purely accidental and just reminds them of that. But really cool stuff there. And also, I was secretly hoping that we would have heard a little bit more about the Hirogen, because they mentioned the Hirogen, who had a big impact on Star Trek Voyager, but that was it. So, everybody kind of got on edge a little bit, like, the Hirogen, they're like a predator species. What's going on? But nope, they were safe from them, at least.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, going to the point where you say this planet, it's a living thing that basically shows them their deepest desires. I almost feel like when they first arrive on the planet, all of the beautiful landscape that we see is probably an illusion as well, because as a hunter or luring different ships and travelers to its planet, that what's going to lure them the most, being a class M planet, it'll be an abundance of flora and waterfalls, and so I feel like the planet itself is almost but the planet itself is almost a complete illusion. So honestly, I don't even think anything they saw was real when they flew in.
That is so sad, because that planet was beautiful.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a very good episode. Probably my favorite so far of this series. I like the way that they used this planet to give us more insight into the characters, and I felt like I was discovering the characters' inner fears and or desires,
longings.
Yeah. And so it let me know more about who each person was and what is important to them. I think that what I got from, Dao's character was that this, like, who his parents, like where he comes from, like seeing his parents, him kind of not having that identity and not knowing what they look like, what their face looks like.
Right. The Janeway, the planet Janeway, even mentioned that you don't even remember their face, and it's interesting that the next person that the planet would manifest for him is Janeway. It just shows that he probably doesn't have anyone else that he really looks up to or respects in that way. So I found it really interesting that Janeway was the choice that the planet chose to earn his trust, to earn his trust.
Yeah. Which lets you know, once again, like you were saying, how limited his options are, because this is somebody he just met literally, the day before or whatever. And yet I trust you more than I trust even the crew of people that I'm around or anybody. Right. So that was good. But I also like to know that what was fueling them, because for me, it gives me more of a sense of direction long term. So, okay, Dao's going to be out searching to find his identity, right?
That's his deepest desire. Like, who is he? Because he doesn't even know his own species.
Right.
Right. And so they just set that up for me really well with this episode. Also, the fact, it was almost like I felt like this episode was The Wizard of Oz.
A little bit, right? Yeah. Someone wants the heart, someone wants the brain, someone.
Yeah.
And each showing their own desire. Zero's the brain, focusing on the what was in the warp core room, the engine of the protostar, and he's focusing on that discovery and scientific I guess wonder. And then Rock Talk is the heart, where she just wants to be loved and to like care for little creatures and be cuddled in cute bunnies and little and honestly that's what she's given us through this whole series is of she just, because she's such a big creature and was probably always, people were probably always fearful of her or intimidated by her, especially when they couldn't understand her speech in the mining colony. Now she's finally able to like kind of come into her own and like show everyone, no, I'm just a big teddy bear. And I love that.
I like that. So what is Jankum Pog? What does he represent?
Gluttony. I'm just kidding. Our hunger. For him, what I feel, what I got from it, especially so when he ordered all that food in the replicator, it was all things that brought him comfort, like comfort food for him,
and brought him back home.
And then whenever he found on this planet the pot of like stew, it reminded him of the Tellarite sleeper ship that he was on. And so that kind of gives us a little sneak into his past. I think they kind of dropped that Easter egg in of like, oh, this is reminding him of home and of his people and, you know, where he came from. So I feel like that's kind of what his desire has been all of the time.
And
as well.
he actually ended up eating the cilia, right? He was just so I'm wondering what kind of digestive
made me really
issues he's
uncomfortable.
Have. Like if Zero didn't like the gas smell he was detecting, imagine what's going to happen. I mean, he's going to probably have digestive issues. And it was also funny when Rock Talk is just found like buried in garbage.
Yeah, that was scary.
Mess. Yeah. Poor little
if I was a child watching that, I would kind of be slightly terrified because it is like this planet attacking them is terrifying. I do feel like, you know, Janeway did say collect samples. So if none of them were able to get anything, at least they can, you know, Jacob Pog has a couple of samples in his stomach that I'm sure they can use for later.
Very true. But are they going to have to follow him around like people follow around a dog that eats like a ring or something like that? Just follow him around with like a tissue or something like that.
A pooper scooper.
We also got a tiny bit more on Gwen. I'm not sure if we'd already heard this before, but I thought this was the first time we found out her full name is Gwendala. Was that the first time, or was that mentioned before?
I can't remember. It might have been mentioned briefly, but you know, the diviner mostly calls her progeny as well. Doesn't even really call her by her name. And I feel like that was such an important moment when she's talking to her father and he mentions how proud of her he is and calls her by her full name. And that's when she realizes that's not her father. And that kind of broke my heart a little because it's like, you know, oh, he's showing affection towards her. And that's how she realizes it's not him. And, you know, deep down, we all have daddy issues. And that one hit me. I was like, ooh, like, I feel that, you know, just hearing, you know, all you want really is your parents' what's the word I'm looking for? Approval. Thank you. And, you know, you want them to be proud of you and proud of what you've done. And when you don't get that and all of a sudden out of the blue, get this one, you know, positive reinforcement where you're just like, hold on. When you have to suspect something, when you're giving affection and love, that's sad. Yeah.
Good point.
But yeah.
No, I felt that too. And I, you know, I still feel in her character this. It seems like she's battling or resisting this, you know, being the bad person, right? Like I feel like she's the bad person or the evil person, but she's not. Right. She's kind of forced in this position. So there's a weird, you know, back and forth between her trying to do. I think there was a moment where, what's the name of that little snail-looking guy? Murph. Yeah,
Murph. Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, there was a moment where she was escaping out of the ship, and she went to the escape pod ship, right? And she's about to board that, and she sees Murph like kind of coming around the corner a little bit,
and
right?
Scared and shaking, exactly.
Yeah, it's scared and shaking, and you can see her saying, you know, registering that and having the emotion of like, oh, like I should go and get Murph. You know, I can't
kind of internalizing it.
Yeah, right. So you know she has a heart, is what I'm saying. Because somebody who's cold blooded would just be like, you know, save my own ass. I don't care about whatever happens to anybody else. But you saw that she registered that moment, like, oh, you know, that's not right because this little harmless, defenseless little guy, you know, let me help out.
The writers of the world are saying that saved the cat. That is the saying in writing. You give the character, even no matter how much of a anti-hero or whatever they come off as, let the person save the cat. If they save the cat, then you go, oh, see, he's not so bad. And so she saved the cat. And so now we all know, see, you guys, now Murph is still alive. The snail guy, as Cirroc calls him. Yeah.
And what was the
Data had Spot on Discovery. Right. They have the Queen, of course. I love that cat, by the way. And then now this ship has Murph, kind of like their own cat. Yeah.
Speaking of which, speaking of Spot, this has been making the rounds for the last couple days for people that have watched The Next Generation. You'll recognize this scene here.
Oh, no.
This is when Data is asking Worf to watch his cat for him.
Oh my goodness.
And Worf says my favorite Worf line ever. He says, "I will feed him." But that they put in obviously Dr. Ta'ana instead of the cat Spot. So anyway,
I love it.
That was
I have a poster in my room that is Data looking very regal, like in Starfleet, uniform with Spot right there in his arms, and it says easily distracted by cats in Star Trek, and that basically that is my aesthetic. That is my
Cirroc. It's the best scene in Star Trek history. On The Next Generation, Data has to go and he's asking Worf to take care of his cat, who he calls, it's an orange cat with no spots that he calls Spot.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't know anything about animals. And he's like, please make sure to feed him and tell him he is a pretty cat and tell him that you love him and tell him all this stuff and whatever. And Worf told him and he goes, "I will feed him."
And then that's it.
And the cat looks like totally unhappy. It's just sitting there being, anyway. So that was just funny.
Even just the way Worf is holding that cat, you can tell is super awkward.
Yeah.
But you said something earlier about Gwen's full name. I think I missed that part.
Gwendala.
Okay.
Her father calls her by her full name when they're speaking and says, "I'm so proud of you, Gwendala," or something. And that's when it clicks that we're not in Kansas
Easter
anymore.
Right there. Yeah, that's a little. They're dropping little nuggets there because she may have a brother named Dane.
There we go. Thank you very much. A+. I was going to make the joke that her last name is Bills, but Dame is cool too. Dame Dalla.
Yeah.
That is
Dame Dalla.
That is a basketball reference.
It's a sports thing. I caught it, but obviously don't. Yeah. I'll never be able to deliver it.
Cirroc and I are not a very convincing basketball. Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. I can play horse all day. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Me too. But then I take a cough drop and I'm okay.
Wow.
Thank you. That was a voiceover joke. That's a voiceover joke. No. Anyway, so we only have a couple minutes left. This is going to obviously close out theoretically next episode. I can't imagine they would torture us by making it a 3-parter. And we have to wait until January to find what closes out an episode.
That would be cruel.
I'm assuming that they're going to close this little 2-parter out next week. Otherwise, they're really teaching us who's boss right now.
Yeah, I feel like all of them are ending on such good, not even just cliffhangers, but it's making people talk really about what it's making people think. Sometimes when you're watching a show and you just binge watch things and you don't really think about it while you're waiting for the next episode to come out a week later. I feel like the conversation has been very consistent and people are just they're just starving for more, which is really fun to see.
Yeah, in the beginning when I was watching, I was thinking, where is this going to go? Okay, they're just a bunch of kids who got together and jumped and hijacked this, took a ship for a joyride. Like, how are we gonna get the feel of a functioning starship? Of see the maturity, and where are they going to go? Literally, like where? Are just going to float around? Or are they just going to? And so those
are going to get out their seat and float around. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, that's why I really like this episode, because it started to give me more of a sense of, okay, I see what kind of adventures are ahead for them. This is not just going to be only about Gwendalla's diviner dad chasing him down. It's also going to have other stories that are going to arise, and we're going to get more in depth about each one of these who these characters are and what they come from and what they're about. So I'm looking forward to it. I do hope that they wrap this 2-parter up by next episode, because if we're going to have a break in between,
I know that's torture.
I know.
That's like
to
old
sit through the
school,
holidays,
when they make us
yeah.
wait through all of summer. And earlier, Bonnie,
yeah.
I swear I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I was just remembering that Cirroc said Dame Dalla. So that's what I was laughing at, not what you were saying.
No, it's all good.
Also, real quick, actually, Bonnie, you have a fun announcement to make before we go as well.
Oh,
right?
that's right.
A big announcement for today. Right now.
It's why I feel so like, what is happening right now? So I decided to do a soft launch of my Kickstarter for my solo album today, just now before the podcast started, which was probably not the best idea because I was like, la la la. We're recording this obviously a little early before you put it up, but as of right now, I am almost to the goal, which is insane because I just did a soft launch and haven't posted it anywhere.
Get those stretch goals ready.
I have them all ready. I want a full live band trio. I want to pay live musicians to come into the studio, and no, I'm very excited. So yeah, if you're interested in contributing to my solo album, go look at my socials because now I'm going to have to post about it. And I'll be posting my Kickstarter for Con Artist. And don't worry, there will be some Trek Easter eggs throughout the album as well. So
and
I got to sing nerdy things.
Where can they follow you on Twitter so that they can get the link to your Kickstarter?
At Bonnie Bell G. BONNIEBELLG. Like G
right.
dog.
Like G-Funk, step to this.
Well, I was about to say like G-string, but I realized that could be taken completely out of context. As a musician, I think G-string for a guitar and everyone else does not. So
that was always the toughest string
that's
to tune.
what I think of too, right?
Yeah.
Great. Absolutely.
Toughest string to tune on the guitar, I always thought. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It was. Anyway.
It is.
Anyway, well, everybody at home, thank you so much for joining us. Check out Bonnie on Twitter. Check Cirroc and I out on patreon.com/the7th rule. Please check that out. If you enjoy anything that we're doing and you want to say, great job, guys, check us out there. And follow us on social media. Please give this video a like and the audio 5 stars. Unless you didn't like it, then just don't do anything. Exactly. And thank you all very much. We'll see you real soon. We'll see you in a week. Always remember.
Thank you for flying the USS Protostar. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pretty good.
I love that.
It's going to be like a...
Can you say always remember the 7th rule?
Always remember the 7th rule.